Hello and welcome to another interview in Knowing You, Being You. And this is a series of interviews where we are talking to people who are making great changes in the world because they know that all change starts with you. And today I have the lovely Gemma Stow with me, who's the founder of the F Movement, who is empowering women, ambitious women, to stop hiding and really believe in themselves and run unstoppable businesses. So I'm really excited to have her here with us. Gemma helps female introverted, this is a really important distinction, introverted female business owners to really increase their impact and their revenue. This is another important thing, by increasing their visibility and their confidence. And that's really one of the reasons that I really wanted Gemma to be part of this, is because confidence is such a key part of our journey. But before we start any of that, welcome, Gemma.
Hello, I'm so excited to be here. Thanks, Colin.
And it would be lovely if you could sort of tell us a little bit about how you got to be where you are now, what your journey has been.
Yeah, sure. I mean, wow. What a journey it has been. And it's been up and down. I guess I started off my career as a probation officer, which I absolutely loved because it kind of sat with my values of, you know, everybody can change, everyone's got potential. Sometimes they don't know where that is. And it's about supporting people to find that. And I loved that work. And everything was going really well, I guess. I was a career-driven, independent woman, knew where I was going, had a plan, and then I thought, perfect time to start a family. So had my daughter, and it's almost like the rug was taken from under me, and it was a real shock to the system, and it kind of made me reevaluate things. And I did experience postnatal depression, and I think it was mainly because of the shock, and because it almost made me feel I had no control. I lost my confidence. I found it difficult to leave the house. I didn't feel like I knew what I was doing. And I'd always been that woman who knew what she was doing. And if she didn't, she'd figure it out really quickly. But having this little baby for me to look after and care for 24 hours a day was really tough. And it was a tough time, but I did get the support I needed, which was amazing. But the biggest revelation, I guess, from that time was that I needed to work, and work was in my blood. It was part of who I was, because I felt a lot of pressure of you should be this kind of person now, you're a mom, you should do this, you should do that. And it didn't sit right for me, it didn't work for me, and I knew that I had to work. And as soon as I made the decision I did leave the probation service, I set up my own business, which is a previous one to this. I felt like me again. I felt like I'd found my identity, which was amazing. And, you know, and Matilda, my daughter, came on the journey with me. She was 4 months old when I was looking at premises. So I guess that's where my biggest journey has started. And I had a great business there. We built it from scratch, working with young people with, challenging behaviour. We won an award. I had a great team of staff. But I did go through this process of, there was a lot of constraints put on me, like red tape, when you're working with schools and the council and that kind of thing. And I felt like I couldn't be me, I couldn't do the things I wanted to do. So I did decide to close that company and start working on this company, which is working with women who have got similar feelings around work, who are ambitious, who want to work for themselves, who want that flexibility and the freedom to do work that they love. And I just find myself in this amazing role where I feel empowered every day when I'm working with these incredible women. So that's kind of my journey of how I got to where I am now.
It's quite the journey.
Yeah.
It's easy, isn't it, to sort of like summarize it into 2 minutes, but that must have been, you must have gone through so many different sort of emotional and mental experiences to get through that. And even making the decision to set up on your own must have been a bit of a roller coaster.
Definitely. It was very scary. And I think anyone in that position, there's all those thoughts of, am I good enough? Have I got what it takes? Do I know enough to do this? And, I was a probation officer. I had no idea about business. And it's interesting, as time's gone on, with hindsight, I look back and I realised that I had so many beliefs that were stopping me around, can I help people, which is, what I really want to do and make a difference, but can I make money off it as well? And I think a lot of people struggle with that, and I did for a long time, because it didn't sit with my values. And can you have a business and help people? But of course you can, and people are doing that every day, and now I can see that, and it does hold people back. It holds a lot of my clients back as well, that kind of the distinction between the two, when actually that's what business is. It's making money so you can help more people, and vice versa.
Yes, that whole thing of it doesn't feel like work to me. It feels really good to do it, so it's not really right for me to be charging for it.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
It's a tough one to overcome, because it is one of the big ones, as you said. But what was it that, because you said you felt like you again when you were going through that, and I'm just wondering sort of what was the pivotal thing that made you feel like you again, if that makes sense?
Yeah, sure. I think it came back to being in control of what I was doing, and that independence to choose. So, I felt like I could, if I got my teeth stuck into a new business and setting something up, it made me have that confidence back, that, I could do this. I could get my teeth stuck into it, and I could really change people's lives. And it was scary, there's no denying that, and it always will be. At every level that you get to is always a new learning journey for you to go on, and the nerves come and the self-doubt creeps in, and I think everybody goes through that. And you learn as you move on how to not let it drag you down for as long, I guess, and you learn how to see it coming a mile away, and spot it, and have that self-awareness about who you are and how you deal with that. So yeah, it was I guess it was that, getting some control back and being able to make my own decisions. That's what felt really good to me.
Yeah, so it is quite, in many respects, it's quite a long way on a logical level from being a probation officer to helping introverted women business owners. So what's the core thread that sort of like ran through all of that? Because there is, for everybody, isn't there? There is a core thread that connects the values of all of those things. So I'm just curious to know how you sort of like moved that distance.
Yeah, totally. It makes it, because it sounds strange, right, when you say it. But actually the core thread are my values around unlocking people's potential. That's what I've always done. For 15 years I did it with offenders and young people who mainly, they were involuntary clients really, and were almost forced to work with me. It was still a rewarding job and very challenging at times, but it was about unlocking potential that they almost didn't believe they had. And I think it comes back to that self-belief. And I do the same now with women who are ready to change, who are ready to take that step, who want to work with me, which is incredible because I get thank yous and all sorts. But it's still the same thing. It's the same thread throughout of unlocking potential that people don't often believe is there. They've got a feeling that they've got something to give, something more, but do they believe it? Because I think that's the foundation for everything, any action you're going to take.
That's such a huge thing, and it's a huge part of the overall journey that we're on, is that awareness of your own potential. And it's rather than that little inkling feeling that sort of like wanders around with you all day, and you're thinking, I know there's more to life than this. There's not more to me than this. But so that's, that is huge, huge parts of the overall sort of like jigsaw puzzle, if you like.
Yeah, definitely.
So what do you think? I mean, you've touched on a couple already, but I'm just wondering what you think is one of the biggest barriers to people seeing that potential or even believing in themselves.
I think there's quite a few barriers. The main one I do find is that they're not sure what their passion is. I think sometimes, people get stuck in that fact of, or maybe they've forgotten what actually lights them up. I've done a lot of work of going back for myself and with my clients, of going back to when we were younger, and, the creative stuff, the things that we loved, and that often starts kind of bringing more things out. I guess as we grow up, we kind of push stuff away. that we really like, but it's because we're forced to make a choice. Like at school, you know, you get to the end of school and you've got to choose college and you've got to choose qualifications, and if you've got 3, then you can't do the 4th, and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's a massive impact on people, knowing what actually they really are passionate about. And I always say, you know, what's the thing that you could talk all night about? Probably bore everybody else to death, but you wouldn't be, and you could just talk about that because it's just something that really gets you going. And I think that's a great starting point. I think sorry.
No. I was just going to agree. That's absolutely the perfect starting point, because, and that's one of the things I always say to my clients is, what is it that you can talk about without having to script it, without having to even think about it, and you can just go and go and go, and it'll make sense, you know, because there's that bit when you have to sit and you're like thinking, and inside your head it's a jumble, and the words won't come out, and that's because you're not tapped into your true passion. Because the minute you are, you can't shut up.
And you don't often believe that's the case until you find that passion and you're like, oh my gosh, I can talk about this. I don't need a big plan. I don't need to structure everything. It's just coming from me because I'm so passionate about it. So that's so true.
Yeah, and it's such a big thing. So, and I'm curious how you. I mean, I know you should go back to some of the creative stuff. Is that words don't want to come out. Is that completely individually focused? You know, what you tap into, or or do you have it's like a toolbox that you sort of test out with people?
No, I think it's kind of individually focused. And you know, for me, I remember being in my previous business with my staff. What I'd do was I'd be like, I'm not the creative one. That's what I'd tell myself. I'm not creative. You are. You go and do that. I don't do public speaking. You go and do the presentations. I don't like talking to people. So you go and do the networking. Now, this was my business.
Yes.
Hiding behind everybody else. And yes, it was a great opportunity. And yes, there is an art of delegation. And I know all that. But if I'm really honest with myself, I did. You get to the point where you're like, it's excuses, basically. So you don't have to do the things that are a bit scary and have to push yourself. So I had a team of staff to do that for me. Now, when I'm doing this business, I don't. It's just me. And it's been such an eye-opener and it's made all the difference, because I knew deep down no one could sell my business the way I could because of that passion that we just talked about.
Yeah, it's so funny, because I mean, I spent years and years doing strategic marketing and always being the facilitator and saying, oh, right, okay, so you need to go and talk to this, and you need to go and talk to this person about this topic, and I'd organize them all to the nth degree. And it's like, no, I'm standing back now because I don't do that. That's not my role.
Yeah, exactly.
It's exactly the same thing. I was totally hiding and thinking that I couldn't do it because I also told myself that I wasn't creative.
Yeah.
And that is the one message that I give to everybody I speak to. Is like, we're all creative in our own way. It's just that we've got this very constrained idea that creativity is singing, dancing, painting, writing, which is a load of rubbish.
Yeah. And actually, when someone asked me the question, it was on a course I had to go on because one of my staff dropped out, and I thought, oh, I need to go. It was an arts award course, actually, a long time ago. And the lady asked, write down everything that makes you creative. And I'm sat there thinking, oh my God, I'm not. But when I spent some time going back to when I was younger, oh my gosh, I am. I loved art. I was great at art. You know, I was involved in drama. I played the piano. I just did everything. I made a magazine. I was like an editor of a magazine when we were young. And you forget all these amazing things that you've been involved in and achieved. And that really opened my eyes to actually what creative means, and that we all are creative in our own way.
And I think that's the other thing we have to remind ourselves of as much as anything else. It's like, you set up a business after you left the probation service. That's the ultimate act of creativity. You saw an opportunity and you went for it.
Exactly.
So it's like we do tell ourselves some ridiculous stories sometimes.
We do to keep ourselves safe, but we need to be aware of that, and so we can change that story and start challenging and pushing ourselves a little bit more.
So how do you help your clients to change that story? What is it that you sort of like get them to focus in on?
That's a great question. I guess that's it's about looking at where they want to be, and all the things that get in the way. So all these beliefs, I mean, we call them limiting beliefs. Not everybody does, but I won't be aware of them. And, you know, I'm sure there's some that I still need to work on, but we all have them. And it's about unpicking that. So I work with my clients on looking at the bigger picture of who they believe they are, what they can't do. Sometimes we go where, you know, where did that come from, because they need to understand it, but we don't spend a lot of time in the past, because I'm all about moving forward. And it's really crucial, I think, it's that self-awareness, and I always come back to saying that, but it is, and it makes all the difference to be able to almost stop for a minute and say, hang on, why do I feel like this when they've said that, or I've got this opportunity? It's like it ties in with what I say about, you know, overthinking. You end up talking yourself into the things you want to do.
So that's the dog shaking.
And it's that overthinking that stops you. And I've got this kind of motto that I talk about a lot, and my clients always come and tell me when they've done it, is that, you know, it's that saying yes to opportunities and then figuring out later how you're going to do it, even though it scares you so much. But you can do it, and I think that's the difference. And that's why I work with introverts. That's why I love that, because we do overthink. We overthink a lot, and it can be a superpower. There's no denying it. It's a great skill to have, used in the right way and not to your detriment, I guess. And that's the same for the other things about, you know, meeting people, making connections. So all those things I look at with my clients to unpick what are the things that are stopping them, so then we can start moving them forward.
And I think that, for me, that is one of the most powerful messages, is that if you want to run a business, you've got to work on yourself first, because you are the one who's going to get in your way time and time again, unless you actually stand back and look at yourself and go, I'm doing that again.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a pattern. And obviously, just before we came on, we were talking about the fact that we both get sore throats at times.
Yeah.
And that's we both know that there's a reason behind that. But that being ability to sit down, please, sorry, tap across the floor. That ability to be objective about yourself is one of the most profound skills that you can learn in order to be successful.
Definitely. I mean, the amount of learning about myself I've done in the last couple of years has been huge. And, you know, I ran the other business for 8 years, and it wasn't right until the end that I got a mentor in, and he was great. And it actually helped me make the decision of closing the business, which I remember him coming to me going, I feel like I've failed you. I was like, no, actually, you've done the complete opposite. You've opened my eyes to what I really want. And I was going through the motions and trying to please everybody else, and that wasn't working for me. So having someone else push me and challenge me was everything. It really was, for me to learn about myself.
I think one of the biggest blocks certainly in the early stages, I think most people move past it, is that belief that you can't have a business doing something that you really love.
Yeah.
And that's another part to the work that you do, isn't it? Is really letting people understand that the passion is where the success is.
Exactly. And it's almost like they need permission to do it. I find it a lot with people who make things, like creative things like products or art, because it's so personal and because they love doing it, even though it takes them a long time to create one piece. They don't value themselves because they enjoyed it. So how can they possibly charge lots of money for it? And I find that time and time again. And, you know, I've been there as well with my own values around money and worth. And because, as you know, I mean, a lot of my work is my time. So I could easily give it for free. It's not like I'm having to pay for lots of other things. So it is a big shift. It is a big shift in, you know, learning to believe that what you're passionate about is worth someone else paying and exchanging money for.
And that's certainly, for me, is one of my core messages, is that you're here for a reason. You have something that no one else has, and actually it's not just about denying your happiness or denying your potential so much. It's about you're denying everybody the opportunity to benefit from you bringing that forward. So tapping into your passion and using that to grow your life is actually the best service you can make to the world at large.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess it's really interesting because only you can do what you can do, and we forget this a lot. And I think one of the other barriers that I often work on is comparison. And with social media, it's in your face. Everybody's doing everything, and so for example, me as a coach, I'm surrounded by coaches because I've got myself into that, and Facebook want to send me everything to do with coaches, I guess. And then you just feel like it's a sea of people that you're trying to, show what you can do, and it can have a really negative effect. And it does with my clients, comparing themselves, their chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. It just doesn't work, but it can be a real barrier, I think, and knock people's confidence.
Yeah, absolutely. And that chapter 1 to 19, as you say, is the bit that everyone conveniently forgets. And that's the thing. There is no shortcut to this, because you've got to go through all of these processes and unravel all of these things in order to get there. And it's not about running Facebook ads. It's not about having automation in place. It's none of those things is going to make your business successful. But you can be successful in spite of those things, but you're never really going to feel your flow. You're never going to really be motoring until you deal with some of these core issues.
Yeah, exactly. You've got to have that foundation of believing that you can do this, getting that confidence. And yes, confidence is built through action taking. There's no doubt about that as well. So it's having that grounding, I guess, first. And I do find I've worked with a lot of people who've said, I can't do it yet because I've got to get my website ready and I've got to get my logo and my business cards. And I was that person right at the beginning of my first business. And I had to get everything, I think I ordered 1,000 brochures so I could send them to schools. I don't think there was even 1,000 schools, which was crazy thinking back. But and I still had them. I had boxes of them to throw out at the end when I closed the company, because it wasn't about that. And I've learned that now myself, and I just want to share that with women who are starting out, so that they don't get consumed by this practical stuff that actually is just another barrier that they're putting in place of them stepping up and using that confidence.
And also, actually, when you're running a business, you've got to get to know your business. And it won't be the same on day one as it is on the 6-month mark or the year mark or the 2-year mark. It'll constantly evolve because you do. And so actually spending money, this is one of my bugbears, but spending money at the outset on the wrong, everyone spends it on the wrong things, is counterproductive. You're far better off getting out and making connections.
Yeah.
And then as you talk about something, then you settle into your message, you find what feels right, and then you can go off and write your copy and your website.
Yeah, exactly. But it feels counterintuitive to a lot of people starting out, and I totally understand that, because they say, I can imagine people listening to us talking now thinking, yeah, but I don't want to go to networking events when I've not got everything set up and I don't even know what my business is called, or I'm not decided on a website domain, but actually it is so important, that bit of building the confidence and knowing what you stand for, and you can change your mind then, and you can feel for it, and that's a great way to start, I think. And this time round I did it so differently, and I didn't buy anything like that. I did the website myself, basically knocked it up. But what I did invest a lot of money in was a coach, and that changed everything for me, and that was the game changer. Because without her, someone outside of my family and friends to really challenge me, push me, I don't think I'd be anywhere near where I am now today, for sure.
No, I think that is such an important message, and it is a scary thing to do, to invest.
Yeah.
Immensely scary, because you think, how am I going to afford it? Am I going to make the money? But it's not about the money so much as about having somebody else who can see you for who you are.
Yes.
Because we can't see our own blind spots, but someone else can. And we can also this is the really important bit, and I guess you and I probably do the very, very similar thing, is we can appreciate the strengths and qualities that anybody else will actually dismiss about themselves, because that's so just part of me that I don't value it, or I don't see it, or, oh no, everyone can do that, can't they?
Exactly.
No, they can't.
Exactly. Even the simple things, and a lot of people will say to me, my clients will say, oh, I can't talk about that. Everyone can do that. No, they can't. They need you. They need to hear you talk about it. It's really important to be able to get clear on your strengths. It's not easy. We're not brought up in a culture where it's kind of encouraged to talk about that. Even I'm really aware of it with my own children, especially my daughter, and encouraging her to talk about what she's good at. And it doesn't mean you're being big-headed or that kind of modest stuff going on. Yeah, it's really important.
Yeah, there's modesty and there's humility, and they're slightly different. And with the cultural side of it is huge. And I think for women entrepreneurs as well, that's particularly huge, because we are conditioned to put ourselves last and to not think about ourselves. And I know that one of the biggest shocks of becoming a mother is the extent to which you put yourself completely on the back burner, and learning to put yourself first sometimes. That's really hard. I mean, I know for me, it's actually been, as I've started to put those boundaries back in place and say, no, actually, I am entitled to have 10 minutes on my own.
Yes.
No, not entitled is an awful word, but it is like,
I agree.
Sorry, but I want 10 minutes apiece. I want 10 minutes when no one's going, mummy, mummy, mummy. And that's really important part of the journey, is learning to value yourself.
And I guess thinking, it's just come to me now, but I guess I did that in quite a big way when my daughter was born and I was going through personal depression. I think, saying, right, work is my thing and I am going to do, for some people that would become, that would look as a selfish option. I know I've had people say to me, I've got children, it's all about them now. I'll just have to wait. I didn't do that when my daughter was born. And actually, she loves what I do, and I do believe I'm a good role model for her, that she can do whatever she wants. She can, she has so much confidence, way more than I ever did, which I absolutely love. But I want her to believe that she can do whatever she wants to do, and nothing, and even becoming a mom herself one day is not a reason for her not to.
That's definitely, I think that's wonderful. That's absolutely wonderful. And it's something that I've learned, I think the hard way, is that by working on myself, I do become a better role model for everybody around me, not just children, but everybody around me, by saying, yeah, okay, actually, I'm going to stand firm in what I want to do. And it's not easy. It's not always easy. And yes, it's often scary, but we can change so much in the world by changing ourselves. And allowing the ripples of that change to do their thing.
Exactly. Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
So she's going to go off and she'll be changing the world from a very early stage, because she's seen you do what you're doing, which is...
I know. Well, she's 9 and she's already selling slime. So there you go.
What is it about 9-year-olds? Mine's 9 as well. It's like they do come. There is a wonderful thing about the 9s, actually, when they just sort of like suddenly blossom into their own person. You go, ooh, okay.
9 going on 19 is how I describe it.
Yes. So tell us a little bit more about how people can work with you, because there's lots of reasons. Actually, first, tell us a little bit about what would be the things that people would want to, I don't want to use the word triggers, because it's got a lot of connotations with it, but what would sort of trigger people to think, that's something I need to look at and work on? And so why would they come to you? What would tell them that they're ready to come to you, basically?
Yeah, I guess it's women who are at the beginning of the journey, maybe have already started running the business, maybe want to have a bit of a pivot, a bit of a change, but they're actually in that place of not feeling like they can talk about it, that they're not promoting themselves. They feel like it's a bit sleazy or cheesy or salesy, and it makes them feel a bit uncomfortable, which is, I guess, is why, I work with introverts, because these things of like, it's really hard sometimes to go out and make those important connections and do networking. And even just introducing yourself can be a massive deal. It sounds so simple to some people, but I remember being in that meeting or that, the room, and them going, let's introduce ourselves. We're going to go around the room. And I remember coming to me and me actually being sweaty and my heart pounding. All I had to do was say who I was. It was crazy. And I know that's the case for a lot of people now. And so they've got this amazing passion. They've got this amazing business that they've set up. They're ready to work with people. And then it all comes to a bit of a standstill because they find themselves stuck and can't talk about who they are, what they do and why. And that is so important, so people know what you're about, really. It's that confidence in being visible, which is what I really do love working with women on.
Yeah, that's amazing. So tell us, how can people come and find you and learn more about what you do?
Well, I'm all over the social media. You have to be when you're talking about visibility. So the main place you could come and connect with me is in my free community on Facebook called the F Movement. And it's a great place, and we have weekly mini challenges, which is a platform really for women to do exactly what I just said. So come in, talk about your business, talk about who you are, make new connections, and practice introducing yourself, and promoting yourself. I want to hear about women's businesses because I love it. So that's a great place to be, and we've got a great, amazing group of women there. So that would be my first protocol. I am on LinkedIn. I've got a website which has got all my information, which is gemmastow.com. And I have, which is very close to my heart and very special, is my Club Fierce membership, which is an intimate group of women who support each other. It's about pushing ourselves. It gets so lonely when you're running your own business. It's just you're doing everything, all the things, and it's an up and down roller coaster, and you need that kind of support network to keep you going, I think. And I know it is from my own experience. It's a game changer. It's everything to have that support where you can say, I feel like crap, this is not working out, not sure what to do. And having a group of women who get it, who understand, who aren't going to go into protective mode and say, oh, well, give up then, don't bother. It's going to be, it's women who understand that this is a downward day, things are going to change again tomorrow. And I love it. It's an amazing place. And we've now got like meetups that we do. So it's not just online. Cool. Get to meet face to face, which is incredibly powerful, I think.
I don't think I could stress how important that sense of community and that support network is, because it's not just the loneliness, it's that fact that when we're out on social media and we're out networking, we're there trying to say how well everything's going.
Yeah.
Well, inside we're going, oh, it's absolutely awful. Do you know, when we're just having those absolute crises of confidence or things aren't going well, and without that support network of someone to turn to and say, what do I do now?
Yeah.
I don't think there's words to explain how important that support network is.
Because otherwise the overwhelm takes over, and then you find yourself going to this negative spiral of, I can't do it then, I might as well give up, I might as well quit, I might as well get a proper job. It's all that kind of stuff. But to have that network is just everything. It really is. And I have my own networks that I'm in as well, and they're my first port of call when things aren't working, and it helps you be more decisive as well. Otherwise you're on your own, overthinking, not showing which way to turn, and in that limbo of hell, as I like to call it, of indecision, and it keeps you stuck, and it can go on for ages. But being in a network, people will straight away be there, they've got you back, and they'll ask you things, and it'll get you out of that overwhelm. And I think it's everything when you're running your own business. So I love that, because as a coach I've been known to be a bit of kick-ass. I've used that phrase, that turn of phrase, but I do love it because I do challenge people, and I think you need that someone external who knows you. It is personal, and will say, come on, you can do this, I know you can do it, I've seen you do it there, let's go. And it works. Action. It's all about action.
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds like such an amazing opportunity. So I would encourage everybody to go and look at the F movement, the group, and also look at your membership site, because that's just so important, particularly if you're introverted and you can recognize. I mean, you've talked about so many things today that there are just so many signs that if you're seeing any of those, then that is a clear sign that go find Gemma and connect with her some more, because she will be able to help you move forward. And thank you, Gemma. It's been really inspiring. I just absolutely loved talking this through with you, and just getting those little gems of coming through, and just thinking, oh yes, I hadn't looked at it like that before. So, which is, the entire intent of this series is just to make people stop and think and come at a different part. But not the entire intent, actually, because the other part of it is exactly what you were just talking about. It's about collaboration. It is about saying that we've all got a part to play in helping people forward. And it is my sincere and genuine wish that people will watch these interviews and then go off and find the next piece of their puzzle.
Exactly. It's exactly that. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. And bless you. Good luck.